Imagine setting sail with a group of friends on a beautiful sunny day to go fishing, only never to return. That's exactly what happened to the crew of the Sarah Joe, a fishing boat that vanished without a trace off the coast of Maui, Hawaii in 1979. Join us as we explore the haunting mystery of the Sarah Joe's disappearance and uncover the shocking details of what might have happened to the crew. So grab a seat and let's dive into this strange and intriguing story. How it all began. The crew was comprised of 5 young, ambitious men who, without a shadow of a doubt, were sea enthusiasts. Ralph Malaiakini, who was 27 at the time, borrowed the Sarah Joe from his twin brother, Robert Malaiakini. The 4 friends who accompanied him were Benjamin Kalama, 38, Patrick Woessner, 26, Peter Hanchett, 31, and Scott Moorman, 27. Collectively, they had more than 50 years of sailing experience. And to add to that, Ralph was a professional fisherman. And in case you're wondering, the boat was named after Ralph's mom, Sarah, and his dad, Joe. The vanishing. It's believed that around 1 p.m. the same day, a strange wind from the mountains blew across the sea. This was a clear indication that a storm was looming, and it bothered Peter's father, John Hanchett Sr., who tried to warn the boys of the awaiting danger. However, his attempts and those of others who were concerned were in vain. Several hours later, after the storm had passed, they could not trace the boat and its occupants. The search. For several days after the storm, John, Captain Jim Cushing, marine biologist John Naughton, a team of searchers and local residents searched for the missing boat. Days turned into weeks, and the search and rescue teams were unable to find any trace of the Sarah Joe or its crew. The search was eventually called off, and the families were left to wonder what had happened to their loved ones. 10 years after the vanishing. But the story doesn't end there. Almost a decade later, in 1988, the wreckage of the Sarah Joe was discovered on the shores of a remote atoll in the Pacific, which was roughly 2,200 miles southwest of Hawaii. Naughton, who was doing research at the time in the Marshall Islands on Taongi Atoll, was astonished by the discovery. Although the boat was badly damaged, he could spot the Hawaii registry on it, which later helped in confirming that it was indeed the missing boat. A grave is discovered. Upon further searching, a simple grave was also discovered in the vicinity. It had a makeshift driftwood cross and was covered with stones. Further investigations and tests confirmed that the grave contained Moorman's bones. Also, blank note papers that were intertwined with stripes of aluminum foil were found. It's thought that illegal Chinese fishermen could have found Moorman's remains and buried them, leaving the note papers as an act of wishing him a good afterlife. The case is reopened. Although the discovery of the wreckage gave a spark of hope, it opened a can of worms, as they put it, and ignited a renewed interest in the case. And even after experts began afresh to investigate what had happened to the Sarah Joe and its crew, no conclusive findings have been made to date. The questions with no answers. So, what could have caused the disappearance and the damage to the Sarah Joe? Where are the remains of the 4 other sailors? Where was the wreckage of the Sarah Joe for the 10 years it was nowhere to be found? Who buried Scott Moorman? How did Moorman reach the shore? Was he dead or alive? Who made the note papers? What were they meant for? Could the other 4 crew members still be alive? Will they ever return home? These are some of the big questions that still linger heavily in the minds of the relatives, friends, and fellow villagers of the 5 friends. Theories about the missing persons. In the search for answers to the above questions and many others, there are a few theories that experts have put forward over the years. Want to know more about them? Let's have a closer look. The first theory suggests that the crew was lost at sea and succumbed to the harsh elements. The Pacific Ocean can be a treacherous place, and even experienced fishermen can fall victim to its unforgiving nature. The crew of the Sarah Joe may have encountered a storm or rough seas that caused the boat to capsize, leaving them stranded in the middle of the ocean. So far, this is the most widely accepted explanation for the boat's disappearance. However, the family members of the crew who were interviewed by the Honolulu Advertiser said that the crew was experienced and familiar with the waters, making it unlikely for them to have been caught in a storm. At the same time, this theory has been questioned by some experts who believe that the Sarah Joe was a sturdy boat that could withstand the rough conditions of the Pacific. They argue that if the boat had capsized, the crew would have had access to life rafts or other survival equipment. which would have given them a chance to survive. We all know that sharks can cause havoc and even death in the sea. So, a theory suggesting that the Sarah Joe could have been attacked by sharks is not so far-fetched. The waters off the coast of Hawaii are known to be home to several shark species, and it's possible that the boat could have been attacked. However, there is no physical evidence to support this theory. In addition to harsh weather and dangerous sea creatures, pirates are also a great threat to sailors. Thus, the theory that the Sarah Joe could have been hijacked by pirates is one of the more intriguing theories. The crew's family members reported seeing a suspicious boat nearby a few days before the disappearance. However, the Honolulu Advertiser reports that piracy is very rare in Hawaii, making this theory unlikely. Another theory suggests that the Sarah Joe could have been involved in drug trafficking. According to the book Lost at Sea: The Strange Disappearance of the Sarah Joe, there were rumors at the time that some boats were being used to smuggle drugs from Mexico to Hawaii. The book suggests that the Sarah Joe may have stumbled upon a drug deal and was intentionally sunk to keep the crew from reporting it. This theory gained traction after a local fisherman reported seeing a strange vessel in the area where the Sarah Joe was last seen. He claimed that the boat had no identifying marks and was not registered with any known authorities. But still, there's no indisputable evidence to prove this theory. But come on, let's be real here. If you were a drug smuggler and came across a 17-foot fishing boat, the last thing you would do is murder the crew. I mean, have you seen how small those things are? It would be like attacking a baby with a feather. The final theory is one of the more outlandish theories, but it's worth mentioning nonetheless. There are some who speculate that the Sarah Joe may have been abducted by extraterrestrial beings. This theory is based on the fact that there have been several reports of UFO sightings in the area where the boat disappeared. While there's no evidence to support this theory, it certainly makes for an interesting story. Hey, anything's possible, right? 40 years later. The Sarah Joe's disappearance in 1979 has left a lasting impact on the community of Hana, Hawaii. Despite the passage of 40 years, the memory of the lost crewmen lives on through the efforts of their surviving relatives and the local community. The Canoe Club in Hana holds an annual tribute paddle in honor of the Sarah Joe crew, and family members continue to honor their loved ones on their birthdays and on the anniversary of their disappearance. The Sarah Joe itself, though no longer seaworthy, remains a powerful symbol of the men who vanished aboard her. It sits at the entrance of Robert Malaiakini's driveway, a constant reminder of the tragedy that befell his twin brother and their friends. On the 30th anniversary of the Sarah Joe's disappearance, the community held a public luau to provide closure and remember the lost crewmen. As part of this event, 5 Norfolk pine trees were planted to honor each of the men who vanished. Final thoughts. Overall, the story of the Sarah Joe and her crew is a haunting mystery that still captures the attention and imagination of many. Despite the various theories and investigations over the years, the truth of what happened on that fateful voyage may never be fully known. However, the legacy of the men who set out on that journey continues to live on in the hearts of their loved ones and the Hana community as a whole. Thanks for tuning in, and if you have any theories on what happened to the crew of the Sarah Joe, be sure to leave them in the comments below. And check out our channel for more interesting videos.